Okay, well, hi everyone. Welcome back from your break. We are now recording, and today we have our last guest speaker of the semester in our last class, but most definitely not least. We have Kiran Burani, who is an adaptive learning project manager and instructional designer at the Center for Teaching and Learning at the University of North Carolina, Charlotte. So thank you so much, Kiran, for being with us tonight. This is a class in which we talk about project management, and I know that you have some recent experience with project management and are working in several different projects, and you've mentioned your project about adaptive learning. So we are eager to talk about the things that are happening at University of North Carolina, Charlotte, and just North Carolina in general.
Oh, thank you. I call Enilda, but to you, she's Dr. Romero-Hall. So I will just
You're
address
fine.
you, Enilda, today. Enilda, thank you so much for inviting me. I know it's not the most fun to be the last one because by this time, you should know everything about project management already, or at least you've heard patterns across all your speakers. And that's common. And I think you might find common elements in the things I'd share, or maybe something new. No, so my goal today is just to share my experiences with you, answer any questions you have as you want to enter this field. As you know, I've been in this field now 15 years, and so I started early. And so if you have any questions, this whole 1 hour that we have or so, it's open space. I have some slides because adaptive learning is new, and I thought it's good to show something and not just talk about it hypothetically. And it's good to have a visual of what it could look like. So at least when you move into the industry and if you go into this kind of job, you know that it's how it looks like. And so I have some slides for us today. Maybe take 15 minutes, and then I'm we can do maybe a Q&A or anything like very informal, if that's okay. Cool. Okay. Um, so let me share. I have my slides already on my other screen. So now you likely see split screen. Okay. Okay. So again, my name is Kiran. I have actually just been recently promoted to the Adaptive Learning Project Manager, and they couldn't think of another name, so they just appended an instructional designer for financial issues. Because of the COVID situation, there is no promotion, there is no change in budget, and so there was a change in project though. And because the change in project required some new tasks and new roles, my title became strangely this. And so I can't do anything about it, but that's what it is. It's still okay. I've been at the Center for Teaching and Learning at UNC Charlotte for now 3.5 years. I started in 2017. And so I'll walk you through a little bit about my journey as, where I started, my career, and then share with you a bit more focused on the adaptive learning angle. And if you have questions about this or any other thing, I'll be happy to answer them. Okay. So, like I said earlier, I've been now 15 years in this industry, in this field of learning, training, design, and technology. I started as a faculty. So, this is sort of my, how to say, sequence. And not everything happened before each other, some happened at the same time. So, I started as a faculty in 2006. I was an assistant professor first, and then did research. I became a consultant, I became a trainer. Um, I'm also a textbook author for little kids. Then I was an instructional design consultant, and then I became an instructional designer, managing a few teams as a supervisor, and all these years now, project manager. So this didn't start quick. So I think one of the things that I'm now realizing as I'm talking to you is project management takes time, to get into the role. If you're new into the role, maybe in 2 years you can start leading people. In bigger companies, might take 5 years. So it really depends on the size of the company and how new the technology is, right? So, for example, adaptive learning, it's very new. Very few people know how to work with this kind of idea. And so going into a management role was quicker as opposed to traditional instructional design jobs where everybody knows how to do it. So it's very hard to become a senior instructional designer immediately because one, you need a PhD in most higher ed institutions, and two, there are many, many people who have a lot of experience, 10 years of experience to get into that role. So, that's advantage you have with some new ideas which you can play with as you move into the field. So background, I thought I'd share with you my journey. I'm not originally from the United States. I'm Indian, but born in the Philippines. So I did my bachelor's in computer science in instructional systems technology in Manila. Same with my master's in IST in Manila. And when I moved to the United States in 2015, I started my doctoral program. And so I completed first a certificate because that came with the doctoral program. I didn't really want it, but it was there. So why not? And then now, almost finishing with my program next year, hopefully. Should be this year, but then COVID happened. So everything moved to next year. And so initially, I was a full time student. And then I was a graduate assistant in the Center for Teaching and Learning. And then I transitioned into this full time role as an instructional designer on campus. And now I've been on in this job for 3.5 years. But on campus, I've been around for like 5 years. Along the way, it's not useful or needed, but it's helpful to get certifications, I think, for our field. Just not so much for the foundation, but for specializations. And I think that has made me have an edge on so many new ideas, which I've tried out as a faculty and as an instructional designer. So I've done learning environment architecture, I've done project management through OLC, I've done QM. I'm sure you've heard of QM by now. Um, Gamification I did through MOOCs in 2012, through a MOOC in 2012, and I did learner experience design, which is my dissertation topic recently. So I recommend, no, as you complete formal education through your master's, or even if you go into a doctoral program in the future, um, keeping up to date with very targeted areas can be useful through certifications, and that's what gives me the edge, different from other instructional designers I've noticed over the years. And because of all of this, I was able to work in so many different types of industries in the last 15 years, not just higher ed. So higher ed is my sort of, I call it my happy place. Like I love higher ed, and that's what makes me happy. Students and faculty and courses makes me excited every day. But sometimes I get very bored. And so I want to go and explore like what people do outside higher ed and then kind of bring that back to higher ed. So most of my industry work happened when I was a faculty. And I realized as a very young faculty that I didn't have experience to share with my students. And so I worked as a consultant in all of these industries to get experience and bring that back to the classroom. So I would technically have two jobs at all times. So I worked in government. So all of this in the Philippines. Now I worked in the government sector. I worked in the business sector, call center sector, manufacturing sector, insurance, publishing, and also I worked with very big projects. So that gave me an experience of being a project manager while being a faculty and really seeing how it's done in real life. So I'll tell you frankly, nothing in the book is really correct, right? There is some sense to it, but it's really never just that. It's so much harder. It's so much more complicated. It's so much more troubleshooting. It's not as simple as this is the process. So this experience gave me all these sort of um, it's just the experience that made me who I am today. No, because I actually put effort to go into different industries and make sure I have, put my hands in different things. And I believe in this idea of a Venn diagram brain, where if you know just one thing, then it's okay. But if you know many, many things, then the intersections between those knowledge areas give you a strength and a special skill that other people will not have. So if you are able to take advantage of different experiences in different industries, I think you'll be a better instructional designer in the future. So in higher ed, I was a faculty at so let me see if my mouse works. So UNC Charlotte, I've been a instructional designer. I was a faculty for 2 semesters as part of a teaching fellowship 2 3 years ago, and then I taught full time at in Manila, and then I taught in a culinary arts. Sorry, I actually spelled colleagues and not colleges. Um, I taught in a culinary arts university too, because I wanted to get a sense of a different university that was not big. So Enderan Colleges was a small college which was teaching everybody how to be a chef. And I was like, that's my kind of thing. I'm gonna go and teach basic computers to future chefs. And so I tried that out for a year, and that was really cool. And also in technical colleges, not just to get my hands in a different type of university. So I tried different things. And
Kiran,
yes.
I think we cannot see your slides. I can personally just see your first slide.
Oh, all this time, really?
Yeah.
It was just this is what we're gonna see.
All
I
right,
thought,
can you see it now?
yeah, now I can see it.
Well, luckily I'm on slide number 2. Let me go back. So we saw this.
Yeah.
So this is my journey, as I said earlier, and then education, certifications, and then different industries. So I was walking you through sort of where I came from all these years, and I guess one of the things that I'm realizing as I'm talking to you too is I've been studying a lot, and as Enilda would know, you never stop actually. You just continue to grow and learn new things, and try our hands in different um, sectors so it makes you a stronger designer. And so, one of the things I was going to highlight when I was a faculty in Manila, I was teaching a lot of courses. All of these courses were offered to the undergraduate level. By chance, in our university in Manila, IST is offered in the undergraduate level. So I was able to teach after graduation to these students. And at that time, because I was working a lot simultaneously in different consulting projects, I realized that there was no course on project management. So in 2000, maybe 10, I invented a lot of these courses I invented anyway, but the last two I wanted to highlight, I made it in red. I created these two new courses that would help students like you, but they were in undergrad, kind of get a sense of project management methodologies. And at that time, there was no book. Nobody had written on project management. I was in the Philippines, so we didn't have access to libraries like how we have here. So I would just share what I could read and what I have experienced with them. And same as Anil, that invite all the people I've met along the way through my projects to come and talk in my class. But they would come physically because we don't have online courses at that time. And so it's kind of full circle for me to be here, because that's kind of, I was just thinking how weird that was a few years ago to be doing something like this for my students, and then having to do this for you. No, so that was kind of cool. So I'm sure by now you've seen a lot of people talk about their CTLs. Our CTL talks about works with hybrid learning, online learning, blended learning. And recently we have all the emergency remote strategies that you can think of. And so there's no more definition of what it is. And more recently, adaptive learning. Okay. And so we have now started adaptive learning since 2018. So now it's about 2 years going on to our third. And you'll see here acronyms. So this is engineering, computer science, statistics, chemistry, and another statistic starting next semester. So it's just me and a colleague. His name is Bruce. We are the two only people doing all of this work, unfortunately and fortunately. We started with one course and two, then it became a set. And then now you see the blue box down here. This project started this semester in September. And this project is no longer a UNC Charlotte project. It's now a project that requires all UNC system schools to work on adaptive learning. So when we say UNC system schools, these are other UNC campuses. So UNC Charlotte, UNC Greensboro, UNC Appalachian State, NC State, and UNC Pembroke. All these campuses have now faculty representatives working with us to build adaptive courses. So because of this, there was a need for a person to manage this new project on top of all the other courses that we are building on our campus and running on our campus. And thus, I have this new role to work with these faculty coming from everywhere. And chemistry, which is not easy. I was never a chemist, neither was I ever good in chemistry. So, you're learning as we go. And I always had this rule when I was younger. When you're an instructional designer, you never get to choose your content, right? You never get to choose. You're given a topic and you have to figure that out. And so chemistry is what I'm working with on top of engineering and computer science and statistics. So for those that are interested in adaptive learning, I always get this question, why do we need it? Why do we do it? What is it for? And so one of the things that I'm seeing with adaptive learning, from the word adaptive, the learning is supposed to be personalized. No, it's the system learns. Sorry, my friend is calling. The system learns from each person and adapts to where the learner is. So this is typically useful for classes that are very large. In our campus, we have STEM courses that are like 200 students to 250, 300 students. And imagine having one faculty with 5 GAs having to accommodate everybody's question or everybody's individual needs. It's just impossible. So one of the promises of adaptive learning systems is to adapt to each person so the faculty doesn't have to anymore, and somebody else can play that role of supporting students at a one-on-one level. So that's where it starts. And then we looked at courses with high DFW rates. This means courses that are high failure rates, students who get D, F, and withdrawals. So those are the courses where students have bottlenecks and they can't graduate. So that's the courses that are being brought into the loop. That these are the ones we need to work on. Students need more practice, more prep work. And you can see the courses we're working on is engineering, computer science, statistics, chemistry. These are hard courses. These are the ones with a lot of practice preparation. That's where sort of the gap is, and that's how adaptive learning is finding its way into higher education. And so I'll move to the next slide. We also see through adaptive learning, we hope, this is the dream of adaptive learning, that we could increase student success rates by personalizing learning, having data play a larger role in decision making for students. Faculty could see data that they've never seen before, captured for 500 students, maybe thousands of students across multiple sections. We want to replace textbook cost with open education resources. So we're building our own content and then creating these curriculum maps across multiple courses, which I'll show you. So it's a very different kind of work that I've ever done as an instructional designer in higher education. Very different because it's very large. So let me show you some of the examples, like what it looks like. So typically, all of you, if you've never built a course or you've built a course, you have an LMS that you will work with, Canvas, Moodle, or others. I'm not sure what you're using on your campus, but any LMS typically supports traditional learning. This is what we're used to. This is what everybody is now figuring out how to do still, right? But adaptive learning adds this layer on top of that. So there's this assumption that it's an enhancement to already existing courses. So we add adaptive learning on top of traditional courses. And what does this mean? It means the LMS course still exists. We never let go of the learning management system. The learning management system now talks to another system that does the adapting. Okay, and our vendor is called Realize It. Just like Canvas is our vendor for learning management systems, Realize It is our vendor for adaptive. So now students are actually using two systems, right? And so what happens is, this is a Canvas course. Every course, like Canvas or Moodle, has modules, and every module has your typical, the usual look and feel. There's a set of activities students are given. One of them typically would be an adaptive module that they have to visit. So if a student clicks on that, it brings them to a window that loads in a separate platform. They do the work there. The grade gets sent back to the learning management system. So the learning management system becomes the home for all things, but learning now takes place in different places. So that's just the architecture, right? So why do I find value in adaptive learning, and why am I buying into this idea after all these years? Because number one, I've never seen it happen before, that suddenly we could personalize at this level where it's one-to-one. Like, I've worked with LMSs for years. You will work with LMSs for years. You will also see your experience as a student. Everything is typically standard and fixed, right? You're given the same assignments, you're given the same schedule, you're given the same homework. Maybe you have options to choose how to submit, what to submit, but it's not necessarily different. With adaptive learning assessments, you can actually change questions and change what the students see. So because of that, the system can scaffold, it can promote self-direction by the students. And what I love most, which you will see in another slide, is the idea of multiple learning pathways. So suddenly students have a choice, that they make the choice. That they choose how long, what to learn, when to learn. So you'll see here, this is an example of a pathway. I've never seen an LMS do this before. I've never seen Articulate, Captivate, anything, Flash, on my years, do this before. This is the spine or the backbone of the adaptive learning engine, which is where the AI is built on. I don't build the AI, Realize It builds the AI. We just use what Realize It has and leverage that for our learners. Right? So here you will see, this is a computer science course on um, forgot linear search. So the students follow a path. If they get it right or they get a certain threshold, they get a color coded mark. Star means mastery. Light green means excellent, and then it gets to yellow or gets to red. And then the student actually can choose alternate options depending on what they want to do next, whether they want to revisit something, they want to redo it 100 times, they can, right? So I love that. This tool called Realize It also has a emotional state. So students can mark how happy they are or how sad they are with the content. And this gives faculty or even designers a different insight as to how students are doing beyond the cognitive, right? Now we're moving into the affective learning and sort of the social emotional, which we normally could not capture in Canvas or in our learning management system. So you will notice that I talk a lot about the tool like I'm selling the tool, but I actually leverage the tool for its potential to do things we could not do before. Right? And all the things it could do, we keep that in Canvas. We don't need to do that. We also look at teachers having to rethink what they're doing, not just the students or the learners. So suddenly faculty are forced to create open education resources or original content, right? And they're forced to make things in a sequence. You will not believe how many faculty you will work with in higher education who have never planned their course ever. And now suddenly they have to plan and they have to make a sequence. Not only that, they have to tell us which one is which and which is the prerequisite of what.
That
So
was
they
not me. That's not me.
exactly. I've been a faculty too. I know the feeling. And many of these faculty, especially in STEM, it's topic centered, right? They look at topic after topic. And that's common in a STEM course. In education, we look at typically tasks, what students need to do first and do next. Especially when it comes to like in STEM, it's a lot of topics, and that's where the sequence doesn't necessarily come into play. It's just coverage, no? And so we are forcing chemistry faculties, the engineering faculty to think like, how are students actually learning, no? And then because of the adaptive nature, we can give a whole different kind of assessment where the assessments change by student. So not everybody gets the same test, not everybody gets the same questions, not everybody gets the same type of questions, and that requires the faculty to have a very big question bank, but the potential is there. And so, we have, this is sort of an interface, very simple interface of your first ever adaptive course. It looks so basic, it kind of looks like Captivate actually, like Articulate. There's a menu on the left, on my right, on my left, your right, and then there's top content on the other side. So you can have text, you can choose add videos, you can add interactions. There's these interactive questions that you could do, but all of these can be what we call variabilized, which means everybody gets different answers depending on the question range. So you can have thousands of questions just by giving the system a variable X and Y. So faculty don't have to write 100 questions. They can write 3 questions and generate 100 versions of that, because the system works like an algorithm. And we have to train a faculty to think in algorithm, and that's not something that they're used to. So it's a little different. So I call it dynamic assessment, not just assessment. That's really dynamic, because no student may ever get the same question ever. So that's very possible. And then the last one is the analytics. And I shared with you, because it's a system, there's a huge engine behind it. There's a lot of different ways to track progress and engagement, and analytics, and eventually student grades or achievement. So you've seen this. This is what they call the mastery bands. So every color represents feedback to students to know how they're doing. Imagine a student who never got their grade for 7 weeks. Now a system gave them a score then the minute they took a test, right? Like, we've seen that. That's a reality. Unfortunately, for a class with 250, students don't get their grades for 7 weeks. And unfortunately, that's the situation we have. And so these kind of tools can improve that barrier. And lots of other different graphs and charts that are very visual compared to what we see, which are data tables in learning management systems. So this is my last few slides now. So I think the examples I've shared with you today, or the context of this project, is very different. For me, it's my most different project ever. In all the years I've done course development or project development, animation, all kinds of things, this is the most different because of the architecture behind the learning. Otherwise, it's the same. It's a course. There's a lot of media, there's a lot of fluff, a lot of fancy, a lot of interaction. It's still a course, right? It's still fixed. There's always one way to learn. What I love about adaptive learning is suddenly it opens up our mind to think in like 3D, where we think of things differently. And we're pushing others to think of learning at an individual level, not at course level. So my analogy is, when you start working on big projects, when you get into higher education, if some of you are going to go into higher ed, the most common starting point for you would be you're an instructional designer and you might work with a faculty. They call this consultations, one-on-one consultations. And you'd work with them to build a course. One course, one faculty, one ID, one course. I did that for 2 years. I built, 15 courses in a year. All of them went for Quality Matters. After some time, these projects are not sustainable because we have 1,000 faculty. How do you get 1,000 faculty to build online courses in 3 months, right? This is the kind of projects we have been having to deal with the past few months. So then you work with teams. Then your work became like times 5, because suddenly you're working with 5 people. And that's what happened over the summer for me. I had 7 faculty every 2 weeks. I used to have 4 faculty over 16 weeks, right? So my work is different. And then you realize you can't support that. So then you have ID team versus faculty team. So now it gets complicated because everybody has an opinion on what learning should be. So the instructional designers have a team, faculty have a team, everybody's talking about what it should be. So the project grows. When projects grow, the problems grow and opinions grow. And then Then it gets even bigger, So then now you have ID teams working with faculty teams. These are big CTLs now. So our CTL is kind of here. But our CTL has expanded a lot this past month too. We've hired 4 people. And so now with adaptive learning, we don't do adaptive learning by ourselves. We cannot build those learning networks alone. The vendor has to do it. So our partnership now becomes threefold, right? We have the instructional design team, which is 2 of us really, the faculty teams, which are a lot of faculty teams. We have like 8 faculty teams, and the vendor team. They have their own setup too. I'll explain a little bit about it. So now this is a different, many CTLs don't have this setup. It's only very special projects that require a vendor to work hand in hand every day with the instructional designers or with faculty. And it's even worse in my case where you bring in all the administrators who have an opinion about what the country should look like or what the state should look like or what the university should look like. So because my project now is a system-wide project with involving many universities, this project just multiplied by 7, right? So I'm working with 7 schools, including my own, and having this sort of setup where you have instructional designers working with faculty teams and the vendor and their leaders, provosts, the CTL directors of each school, and the IT directors of each school, because they have to run this system next semester. They've never run this before. So if I were to just itemize the people in case you wanted this for any reason, it's really faculty courses, faculty teams on the first column. Right, so you have a statistics team, an engineering team, computer science teams, faculty teams, all of these. I don't know how many faculty there are. And then we have a UNC Charlotte team, which is, I'm the one project manager, but I also play the role of instructional designer with Bruce, 2 of us. And then we have our directors, we have our IT person, we have our LMS admin, we have our librarian helps us with OER, and we have our assessment team that helps us with the data. And then we have our adaptive project team who is based in Chicago and Dublin, because that's where Realize It is housed. So they meet us every week. They have a project manager too. They have an instructional designer too. They have an adaptive developer too. And they have a technology manager too. So what I do, exact person, is somebody is in Realize It, right? So that's a future job that maybe we can look at. If you don't want to work in higher ed, you can work in the vendor team and still support higher ed, not necessarily in higher ed. Then you have your, what I call periphery stakeholders, which are your university members, right? So you have your students, which we are always keeping at first in mind, faculty, the designers, the CTL, other admin. And if you work with a system office with multiple universities, you'll have to deal with the vice presidents doing all their, all the sort of political stuff that they need to do to get things done. So my last, I guess my quote is, instructional design is never just instructional design. Project management is never just project management. It's much bigger. So if you get into these roles in the future, I will always encourage you to think as big as you can, as if you're running the university. If you think that you can run the university, you can run a project. but if you don't believe that, you cannot run a project. It's bigger than instructional designers. There's a lot of things that I won't have to mention here, but if you pick out one word here that's different, that's likely you don't know it, then there's something more that you have to learn, right? So scalability, costs, resources, buy-in. You've had all these, I'm sure other people have spoken about this with you, faculty buy-in and course redesign and learning outcomes. But all of these are part of sort of your stock knowledge as you go into a project, and you just have this lingering in your head. These are all the things you have to think about as you do a project that's bigger than one faculty. So that's all I have. I can stop sharing so that we can be face-to-face, and if you have questions, I'll be happy to answer. Oh, there's so many things in the chat. I did not see anything. Let me see.
We did have one.
Blackboard. Okay, your LMS is Blackboard. Okay.
Victoria had a question.
When it comes to working with faculty, what is the most fulfilling part and the most difficult part as an ID?
All of it.
The most difficult part is I feel every struggle that my faculty feel. That's my worst and that's also my strength. I empathize so much. So during the pandemic, when everybody was really in a sort of panic, I felt my whole body like I could feel everybody's fear, everybody's struggle, everybody's worry. I could feel it, and that's my most difficult part. Letting sort of detaching myself, I cannot do that, and that's for anything. Like even if it's not this, it's something else. I'm very maybe empathetic with the projects that I work with and with the people. If you've known me much earlier, 15 years ago, my hashtag is sort of save the world, then save yourself. So I always have that problem. Like everybody comes first, the project comes first, the courses come first. Like today, I'm still sick and we're still doing this. 'Cause I thought, what did Imelda, how would she ever have a class without a speaker? But this was not hard for me to do because I do this every day. So I didn't have to really prepare something different. Um, but that's my challenge, no. I could give you more professional challenges, like faculty always think that their schedule is your schedule. No, and Nilda, don't listen at this point, they're listening to me. Like wherever they work, faculty works with a instructional designer, you set a schedule, they don't follow it, they work on their schedule, so you just wait until they do what they need to do, and then when they do it, they'll be done, but on their own time. Which is also a good thing because it doesn't become monotonous. Your work is always kind of different, but it also can be unpredictable because you don't know when they're going to ever get the work done, or whether they're going to even do it, or they're going to come back the last 2 days before the semester and then say, okay, here it's done, which always happens. So at this point, instructional designers are very ready for the first 2 weeks and last 2 weeks of the semester because that's where things kind of become very crazy. The most fulfilling part, I've always wanted to be a teacher since I was 4. And so I always feel like while I'm not teaching, what I do, even as an ID, is still teaching. As long as I'm able to help others become better in any way, for me, that's teaching. And so I always find value in any of the jobs I've done. As long as I'm in a role which I can help others, that probably ticks my box, the fulfilling box for sure. Yeah.
I think it's really interesting that you talked about how the faculty schedule is your schedule. It reminded me a lot of some undergraduate students that I had known through my undergraduate career, where they would show up in the last 2 weeks and kind of figure out what was going on and still manage to pass the class. But my other question, branching off of that, I know you talked about it a little bit, when you have so many different opinions, when you have to work with so many different team members, I guess, what is your main advice for communicating and being effective with so many different people?
I gauge the situation very well. When I'm playing the role of instructional designer, I feel my contribution is different from my role as project manager, right? So as project manager, your role is to account for everyone's opinion and make sure that everyone is heard, but also there's negotiation happening between which opinion wins. That's the role of the project manager. When I'm the instructional designer, I always make sure my idea wins because I mostly think I'm right. But I'm just kidding, half kidding. But I try my best to like advocate for, the reasoning and the rationale behind the idea. And that typically comes with explaining maybe the theoretical lens behind it, or a framework that's at the back of your mind that guides your decision. And that normally influences people. If you can speak strongly about your idea, especially that you can reference something that has worked before, that typically gains strength in a conversation. So if there are many ideas and you have to navigate it, I would always ask, like, how many of you have tried this before? It's important to know what has worked and what hasn't worked. And in many of them say, I don't know, I just thought of it now, then that's okay. But still something to consider. But I would always go with experiential knowledge and sort of see what has helped others do this successfully, and that's my benchmark. But that's my strategy. It may be different for others.
Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. It's a great question. So, what project collaboration management tool do you use? None. We unfortunately we don't use any tool. I use Excel and make Gantt charts all day. We have tried to use Monday.com, but I know Monday.com is just like, so this is the our issue. No, in our university there was never such a big project like this. This is the first time anybody's like dealing with this kind of project. So there was some sense of using project management tools, like Monday.com is one, and they're trying to buy the license for it. But with COVID money, you cannot spend on a project management tool now. So that thing became on hold. On the other hand, I don't believe in a tool if there was no project management culture anyway. So if nobody was using Gantt charts in Excel, there's no need to have Monday.com because nobody knows how to use it. And so I believe that there should be. So when I first started in my job, because I come from computer science, no, trackers and Gantt charts was normal. Like I had this as part of my training in my undergrad and in my master's. So I started to build these like project dashboards when I was on my job, and those are the same dashboards we're all using today, and nothing more. And then I guess it's just a few of us using it, not everybody, and so that didn't necessarily need or push the department to buy a tool. Now that we have this kind of project, I think there's a sense to have a tool. So maybe after the COVID budget is settled, they might purchase Monday.com as a. Another tool is also Asana. It's basically they're trying to get an enterprise license rather than just having one or two persons have it. Because then there's no project collaboration if one person is tracking the data or tracking the project.
Kiran, I wanted to ask you, I found the project about adaptive learning fascinating. I
Mhm.
don't know anyone else who's doing something like this. So I was writing my questions as you were talking, and you answer them. Like I wanted to know how the system work, and you answered that question. And then you said the assessments are created by faculty member, but then they're also modified within the algorithm in
Yeah.
the software. How is it integrated into the LMS? So does that vendor have to collaborate? Which one? Which?
We use
uh,
Canvas.
Okay, so does that vendor have to communicate with Canvas and they make it happen?
So in our team, our project team includes the vendor, and then we have our LMS administrator who comes into our conversation for like 2 days and listens to us and say, we need to connect realize it to Canvas. That takes like 1 hour to do. So the
Mhm.
connection is so fast. That backend connection is basically like you're putting a plug to your Christmas tree, right? Then the lights can happen, but the lights are not pretty yet. So somehow all the lights putting together is the work now of the faculty and the instructional designer to actually make it run. But the connection piece is a 1 hour job. So we
Okay.
don't have to call Canvas directly. We have our LMS admin who needs to enter what they call a key. The key is generated through Realize It. You enter the key, and then the system recognizes that Realize It is now talking to Canvas through an LTI. So that's what they're using. And then the grades get sent back. Any assessments done on Realize It get sent back into the gradebook of Canvas.
Mm. Have you had any opportunity to like know how the students feel about the courses?
Um, we've done very informal surveys just this semester with our computer science course. We haven't tallied it yet. We just got the results last week. This is not like an IRB thing yet. It's just sort of informal surveys. I think there's mixed reactions with students. Some students, when they first started, struggle with a new tool. And that's the case for everyone. And like if they have to learn a new tool, everybody figures out how to use it. Then many students either love it or some students don't use it. They hate it. So they are given all these assignments that they never do. So faculty often have this challenge of, do I make it graded? Do I make it optional? Do I extend the deadline? Do we put a deadline? These are all the questions we have. Because if you don't give a grade, they will not do it. If you don't give a deadline, they will not do it. Then how will it be adaptive if there's a deadline? So we back and forth. Then we come to a conclusion. We'll give an initial deadline, but allow them to revise up to the end of the semester as much as they want. It's just a balance because it's still school after all. And our semestral systems don't allow for the flexibility that true adaptive learning should have yet. So until we have flexible semesters, we can only have flexible deadlines. At the moment. True. Every semester is still 16 weeks, 15 weeks, 10 weeks, So that's the issue that adaptive learning will face. As it becomes bigger, the systems need to change. Otherwise, you can't adapt that much.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thanks. I want to give chance for anyone else to ask other questions. Kate, were you going to ask a question? No?
Me, I just asked about this management tool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Thank you. I thought you were, for some reason, I thought you were going to unmute or something. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Mine's more of a comment. I think it's interesting, the idea of flexible semesters, because in our project scope, I was actually trying to figure out how we would make the nursing school flexible with the actual nurses who are taking it. And that was definitely an idea I had, but I wasn't sure how to make it work. So I just scrapped that because I just felt like I wasn't knowledgeable enough to figure out, or didn't have enough time to figure out how I can make that work. But I think that's definitely something I look forward to seeing in the future, is maybe longer semesters that offer more flexibility for students who do have other things going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
One thing I was gonna mention about that, I've only seen that in 2 instances, flexible semesters with a course. I feel that doing a dissertation is a flexible semester.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like an independent study course that you can continue to enroll on until you're done with it. So that to me is like an example of a flexible semester. And then at the University of Tampa in the School of Business, they allow you to enroll on an internship, whenever you find the internship, and to disenroll from the internship when you finish the internship. So in our program, our internship starts at the beginning of the semester and at the end of the semester. But that really goes against the flexible nature of internships, which really come at any point. So that's how they do their internships, which I thought that I really like that, which I feel like it would be sort of like that flexibility of starting it and finishing it when you want to do it.
When you're better, yeah. Victoria, if you were, looking at this in the future, some of the frameworks you might look at are competency-based assessment, no, CBA. Competency-based learning focuses on the competency of skill, not on the time to complete the competency. So, and so those are sort of entry points into figuring out how do those, there's many schools that are adopting competency-based assessment, and many schools outside the United States. Actually, the one I worked with in Manila for vocational education is 100% competency-based learning. Students are asked to complete a certificate and they're given as much time as they want. You pay for the certificate once. So you pay let's say $100, and then you finish it in 2 weeks or in 6 weeks or in 8 weeks. And another model is if something takes a year to complete because you have maybe a certificate program, what they do is they give ladderized certifications. So you finish just Module 1, you get a certificate. You can get a job already. You don't have to wait the whole year before you get a job. You get a small job. Now that you're doing well with one job, you come back, you earn money, come back, re-enroll again, get module 2. That's competency-based learning. You finish modules. Every module gives you a small certificate. I'm not sure if community colleges do that here, but in other countries like Europe, who does a lot of vocational training, they use this model. Higher ed, I've not seen also, like mostly just research or OJTs, but I've seen an idea at our university where they're looking at using the summer semester as a extended summer semester for some who cannot do it in one summer. So let's say summer 1 is 5 weeks, and a student enrolls in, let's say, statistics. And by chance, that semester is really hard and that person cannot finish. So there's an optional extension for summer 2, only for those students who want the extension. That alone is better than not having any at all. And so that's like one step forward towards flexible semesters, having the students extend with no extra cost. But the faculty is basically like an incomplete. You're just waiting another semester for the student to complete the work.
Thank you, Kiran.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Kiran?
No more. Well, thank you too. Thank you for listening and asking good questions. And my energy goes very high. Sorry if I spoke too fast in the middle. I'm sure I did.
You did great.
When I get hyper, I speak fast, but I appreciate your time. If you ever, had any questions or anything in the future, Enilda has my email address, and you can always reach out to me for anything. Or you just had an idea and you wanted somebody to talk to. I'm very open to that. And so, good luck on your semester. I know that you're finishing next week, and I hope that I don't know how long more before you graduate, but I hope that you all see this field as something important too. It's not just a job, right? It's something that really should make a difference in education. And so that's all. Graduation soon. I know, me too.
I think we have 3 students who are graduating next week. They are eager.
Oh my God, congratulations. So are all of you going into higher ed?
I think Scarlett has mentioned
I
that
don't,
she's
I don't think I will. But we never know.
Yeah. Monique has mentioned she actually has a K-12 background, and she is going back to she's going to teach K-12. She wants to go teach back K-12.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to stick with a younger crowd rather than higher ed.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of opportunity even for K-12 online learning now, and virtual schools is lots of opportunity.
Yeah.
So good luck to you guys who are graduating, and for the other 2, just a little more. You'll make it too. Yeah.
Yeah, soon enough.
Thank you.
So I just want to say I thank you so much, Kiran, for coming in and speaking to the class. I really appreciate it. I feel like it was a different topic that we had not, some of it we had talked about, but the part about adaptive learning, that was new. Actually, that was new to me as well. So I've learned a lot in this presentation. So I appreciate it, Kiran.
You're
And
welcome.
I just want to share that every time I see Kiran, she gives me a new piece of clothing. So in honor of Kiran, I'm wearing my GSA shirt.
That's true.
And then last time I saw her was actually it was in New York last November, and she gave me a scarf, which is in my office. So I feel like every time I see you, I get a new piece of clothing for
It
you.
was so cold. I cannot forget. We were outdoors. It's always a pleasure. You have one of the best professors with Enilda here, I tell you. Yeah.
Oh, you're too
One of a
kind.
kind. One of a kind. Thank you. I enjoyed this so much. And, I know it's Thanksgiving, so everybody, we have one more day and then we rest. Even me, I'm totally ready to rest this semester.
Thank you so much, Kiran.
You're welcome.
Take care. And I'll be sharing a link to the recording as well with you and with everybody else.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good night.
Yeah, better.
Thank you. Bye.